All right, I know from personal experience, there are literally millions of people that would love to sue their financial advisor right now. Maybe the market went up, but you didn't make as much money, or even worse, the market went down and you lost some money. Now, this may not have happened recently, but you might have noticed that there's been really bad weeks. Or maybe you're like, wait, I should be making more money. Is my financial advisor responsible for me? Like, is there something I can do to take action against them? Maybe I actually lost money when the market went up. That's what I want to go into this video right here. And I want you to know, guys, the answer is not simply yes or no. It's just not that easy. So let's dive in. All right, so first and foremost, can you sue financial advisors? The answer is yes, but there's a huge but to this, right? A big, big but, and I cannot lie, right? The problem is this, is that these guys do have some protection on themselves. This is why they're often buy insurances like error and omissions insurance. For the most part, you can only sue a financial advisor if they've either knowingly or unknowingly misled you or lied to you. That's pretty much it. I mean, if they did some marketing practices, then things like that, that's usually what you can sue a financial advisor for. So for example, if a financial advisor said, this is guaranteed, they use the big G word, which is a big no-no, especially if it's stock market related, they use guaranteed, and anywhere where it's not guaranteed, that is a way you can actually sue them, right? For example, if they say something like, in their marketing pieces, right? They say like, hey, this is something that you will always make money in. Maybe they won't say guarantee, but it always goes up. If they maybe make claims like that, or hey, you can do this kind of strategy and you'll save a lot on taxes, when it's not true that you can save money on taxes, right? If they basically are trying to mislead you in any way, maybe they'll try to mislead you, say, hey, I won't say this is guaranteed, but what I am gonna say is this has never lost money. This is why you'll see financial advisors in all their little market materials. They always have these little disclaimers that say past performance does not indicate future results. So I saw this firsthand as a financial advisor when I did that for 4 years. Now I was doing this in the early 2000s. So I went through the whole Y2K, the dot-com bubble burst. Great time to get in. Not to mention there was, of course, 9/11, and even worse than 9/11, because the market actually went up during 9/11. The worst thing was actually when companies started going under, because companies like Arthur Andersen, all these companies doing the accounting and stuff, they were literally lying on their books. So in 2002 was actually the worst stock market year because why? No one trusted the companies anymore, because there'd been so many companies lying, like Enron and WorldCom, all these companies that literally went bankrupt when everybody thought they were making so much money. That's when nobody could trust the stock market, and it tanked 22% in one freaking year, right? Now, I will tell you, I was a financial advisor during that period of time, and the one thing you will know about the financial advisor industry is that most financial advisors don't make it past the first couple years. If they even make it 5 years, it's pretty amazing. But most of them will not last even 2 years. I lasted 4. I was the minority. And even then, I didn't last that long because I realized I was just a salesman in a suit. It was a bunch of crap that I was doing and selling you, right? But I remember there's a lot of times where I would inherit clients from other financial advisors that either quit, a few of them passed away, but most of them had quit and left the business. So of course, I was able to inherit these clients. I would reach out to them, I'd give them a call, I'd say, hey, my name's Chris Miles. I'm now your new financial advisor on your accounts. And do you know what I heard, especially in those early years of the 2000s? They'd say, oh, what happened to the other guy? And of course, I honestly had no clue what happened to the other guy because he was in the company, nobody I ever knew, he was already gone, right? I would just say, oh, I don't know, he's just no longer worked for the company. They'd say, oh, I hope that guy's in jail because man, I lost so much money in the late in the Y2K crash. I'm so mad at them right now. I wish I could sue them. And I'll tell you, I got firsthand experience about the ugly parts of being a financial advisor, because here's the truth, guys. Financial advisors have zero control over what happens in the stock market. Now, yes, they can pick different funds for you, but the truth is they can't really tell the future. They don't know what's going to happen. They have no clue. They're guessing just as much as you do. You're just hoping they guess a little bit better than you would on your own, right? That's the problem, is that you're literally hiring blind guides. It's like the blind leading the blind, and you're just hoping you might make a little bit of money in the process. But the truth is, if you lose money, the only person that loses is you. They don't lose. If just because your money goes down, unless they said something wrong or illegal, which they usually won't, because they'll throw all kinds of disclaimers saying, hey, there's no guarantees here, past performance is not indicative of future results. You see all those disclaimers all over their marketing materials and everything. They are covering their butts left and right. If you lose money in the market, you really can't do jack squat. All you can do is just say, I'm going to fire you, right? And I mean, that's one way to actually do it. You can just say, I'm not going to use you anymore, and you pull your money out and they stop getting paid on your money, because most of them are paid commissions and fees based on the money you hold under management with them. So that's the one way you can get them. But they still made money even when you didn't. That's the injustice. And that's one reason why I couldn't keep being a financial advisor. The fact that I get paid even when people lose money. Two, the fact that really the stock market isn't as good as what people think it is. It's not making you 10 or 12% average returns. That's not true either, right? It's averaging more like 8.5% at best. And here's the thing, guys, 90% of mutual funds that financial advisors might put you in won't even match the stock market returns, which is why more and more you're seeing more people just buy the S&P 500 index. But be warned, guys, even the S&P 500 index right now in 2024 is drastically overvalued. In fact, I actually just did a podcast recently on my Money Ripples podcast YouTube channel. I did a podcast where it got released just right when the market was crashing for a week straight, right? And I had actually said, I'm like, hey guys, you might want to take advantage of profiting from the stock market. You may want to pull your money out, right? So funny enough, I don't give advice on my show, right? I don't do that because I know I'm not giving investment advice. I'm not even an investment advisor anymore. But it's interesting that right after I recorded that, the market tanked fast and people lost money, and people started reaching out to us saying, hey, I'm losing money in the market. Maybe I want to do something else besides put my money in the stock market that's way overvalued at this point, right? So you got to be aware of that. So yes, you can pull your money out, but again, you can't sue them for you losing money in the market. They're protected. Now, if again, they did something wrong, maybe they broke somewhere in the contract, and if you had a contract you signed and some disclaimers and whatnot, if they did somehow lie to you about something or about what you're buying, then yes, you can sue them. Now, they will usually get sued through their error and omissions. Their insurance policy will usually cover them, but you can sue them for making wrongful claims or maybe omitting a certain fact. So either it's they give you bad information or they omit something. Maybe they didn't warn you of something or tell you of something. Now the problem is if you look at your contract, if it actually shows you signing that you did, it was disclosed to you, that's another story, right? Now if maybe they signed for you, right? No, hopefully they don't ever do that. No advisor should, but they're like doing something illegal like signing for you, maybe you could sue them. But for the most part, just be aware, just because you lose money, they're for the most part protected. You take the risk, you assume the risk, and even the things you sign on, you did it. Heck, even if you said, hey, I want to take money out of my equity out of my home and invest it in the market, and then I lost money. Well, guess what? I know on the forms that I would have my clients sign, it actually says you're admitting that you're not borrowing money to put in the stock market because they actually don't want you to put money in mutual funds that you've borrowed. It's actually that ever since the last, the big Great Depression that we had back in the 1920s and 30s, ever since then, they stopped letting people borrow money to put in the market. Now they can't totally stop you, but they're having you sign away saying, no, I'm not using it. So if you borrow money from your house to put in the market and then you lost it, that's your fault, not theirs, right? So there's a lot of things that they put the responsibility and all the risk back on you. So the only thing you really get them for is if they lie, mislead, even if it's unintentionally misleading you or somehow omitted some very key information about what you're doing. That's the primary way you can actually sue them. Now, if you want to do that, the best thing you do is go look up your state's security website, right? So you can always Google I'm in the state of Utah Securities Department. You can also look up the SEC or Securities Exchange Commission and do that. If there is actually something that's bad, maybe they're running a Ponzi scheme, maybe they took off with your money, yes, you should report them. You should file something against them with the SEC, also your State Department, and go after them that way. That's probably the best course action you could take. You can get some counsel. I definitely recommend looking, if you do have a situation like this, maybe consulting a securities attorney to figure out what you should do. And so that's my advice because I'm not a securities attorney. The best thing is to go consult a securities attorney if you feel something has been happening, not from losing money in the market, but from being misled, lied to, or some facts were omitted that actually caused you to potentially some harmful damage to your own situation. That's what I would do in your situation. So remember, consult your local securities attorney that you would trust and get their advice on your specific situation. Now, beyond just consulting your attorney, my personal belief is you should have the power and control in your own hands because the truth is you're pretty much doing it anyways. Most people have already proven they could do better than most of their financial advisors, right? So I like it when people can expand their options. Here's what I recommend. If you want to see what else can be available beyond just gambling in the stock market that really has high risk, mediocre returns, maybe you can have something that's backed by real assets, things like real estate, but not the ups and downs, not the typical thing buy in your backyard type of real estate, but actual investments that create real income right now. It could potentially even do better returns than what you get in the stock market. I recommend go to our Money Ripples podcast channel on YouTube here. Check that out. Listen to our podcast. We have lots of different ideas that can help expand your mind of what's really possible today.